Hey everyone, this is GOL from Fman Productions Squared, and we're back to continue working on the 10th developer's vlog for Space Crusade. After what I did the other night was I went there and tried to build the code to see what kind of problems we would run into, and I've decided that code blocks is not really a very good IDE. For a couple reasons. First is that it doesn't support standard conventions set up by Microsoft and other leading organizations that deal with professional IDE environments and standards and whatnot. For example, CodeBlocks isn't able to. It's set up so that it works more like what Java might do. In other words, that some things have to be put ahead of other things in order for them to register. Like, for example, with Visual Studio, as long as you have a struct or another class defined within a header file, you can include it into your one of your other classes in that same file. With code blocks, you have to put everything above the main class for that file, and it's very annoying. And also makes the file look really messy. One of the other problems is that code blocks does not support C++ 11. It just doesn't support it, period. Because it uses MinGW, and the 32-bit MinGW binaries don't support C++ 11 like they should. And also, the way in which some of the methods are called in code blocks are completely backwards or incorrect from how they're actually supposed to be called. They call them from functions that aren't, or libraries that aren't supposed to have to be called to use those, like a toy being called from scdv10 when you're not supposed to have to call anything for those. It's just supposed to be automatically linked in as part of the base foundation of libraries that are loaded into the IDE. The third reason is because of the community. The CodeBlocks community sucks. The developers don't want to support their software. They don't want to help. And not just me. This isn't a grudge or chip on shoulder kind of thing. This is something I've seen them do all the time over on the forums. They will lock down any kind of post where someone's having an issue trying to compile something because they claim that an IDE is not a compiler. Well, that's BS, really, because a compiler is part of what an IDE is. Integrated development environment. Without the compiler, the IDE is essentially useless. So it's a very important part of the IDE, and it's just not something you can say, well, we don't support, offer support, and we're not going to help you with it because it's not part of our program. That's total bunk. I would highly recommend that you stay away from code blocks unless you absolutely have to use it. Stick with Microsoft Visual Studio or Eclipse, C++ or something. That's much more supported and goes by traditional standards and whatnot. And also uses a compiler solution that actually supports modern coding. The thing that really honks me up is MinGW support. The development group where they say, we're not going to put C++ 11 stuff into MinGW 32-bit because we're too lazy to do it. Because obviously it can be done because they do it with pretty much every other compiler solution out there. MinGW is just MinGW is the only thing that doesn't have full C++ 11 support at this time. So yeah, while code blocks may seem cool and all that, it just has way too much baggage with it. Stick with something that's a lot more either professional or more accurate and supported, and where you're not going to get blown off by the developers because your problem isn't specifically related to their software or some of their sleight of hand they use to try and get out of helping people with issues. The CodeBlocks forums are littered with posts that have been locked because some administrator came in and locked them because they were talking about the compiler in parenthesis marks like it's an evil word and not CodeBlocks itself. And as I iterated already, CodeBlocks is nothing without a compiler, so it has a compiler in it. Just because it can support multiple compilers doesn't mean that you can segregate the two from each other. CodeBlocks is a useless program without a compiler. It's a critical part of the software. So what I'm doing today is we're migrating the code back over to Visual Studio. Home sweet home. No more need for all the douchey stuff. Also because, let's see, watch, if we come down here, you're going to see a bunch of red. Are we in game? We are in game. I didn't even know it was open on game. And that's because there's a bunch of stuff down here that's wrong, and I just realized that it was wrong. Again, probably because it was done during that whole, here we go, yeah, you can see what I'm talking about here. Well, that's not necessarily true. Let's see, IB value. I think that the issue here is that I'm not really sure what the issue with this is. I'll have to find out. But as you can see, there are some issues. Where more was talking about was down here in this part here, because I was trying to do, like, for example, that is interesting. Let's go back to, I think I know what it is. Go back to game.h. We gotta put bet first because of that stupid thing. Instead, we're gonna go ahead and put it down here in the bottom where it should be. Now, the other problem's coming from up here somewhere. Error expected identifier. Cards equals. Yeah, and see, what you have to do in CodeBlocks is you have to do it this way to make it work. But this isn't actually appropriate syntax. Let's see. Well, no, let's put it at the top here. We'll just get it all, and then we'll go back in and just copy paste stuff out of it as needed. Same with this, just comment block out the whole thing. Alright, now what we're going to do is isn't it close? There's one down here. Comment unclosed at end of file. Okay, now, yeah. I mean, Visual Studio has its quirks too, but for all intents and purposes, it actually will produce correct, working code with the correct syntax being used. You don't have to, alter half your program just to make it work in the damn CodeBlocks. That's what really just turned me off so much about CodeBlocks, is the fact that the default installed compiler, in other words, the compiler that the developers of CodeBlocks support, MingW, doesn't actually have proper C++11 support in it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add this back in. String scr wheel 75. I wonder if there's... Did I remove... Maybe that's why. No, that's fine. Well, what's going on here? We got this closed off. Vector, vector. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Now we do have to do the thing here though in order to indicate that it's a. It's actually 76. Indicate it's a an array. And now, don't want to do that though. This is still giving us grief. I know this is going to be a failed build, but I want to see what it says about this. Move the error list. And that was the other thing, though. The fact that code blocks, the developer of code blocks, didn't have any kind of in-code code checking as well. That's just ridiculous. So that's another reason to stay away from it. Well, that's because I haven't added the linker settings yet. What line is this? 102. So we're looking for one for game 102, syntax error. Interesting. But that'll error out because then we'll have it defined twice. At least I think it will. For all intents and purposes, it should error out. Well, it looks, yeah, so what's going on here is that, same issue, I guess, just worded a little bit differently. And the errors. Now, if we put this first, though, it's going to be the same difference, I think. Yeah, lots of issues with those. It could probably work, but I think there's something else that's required to do when you're doing it that way. Maybe setting up a prototype. They say there's going to be a struct called bent. That's going to be defined later. That should be a void, not a char. A lot of this is all because of that issue of trying to compare an int to a string. Hair count exceeds 100. Damn. Alright, so let's go ahead and fix some of this stuff up. So out here now, we've got some major issues. Our bets is working again though. I'm gonna test something out here. Let's where is that thing at? There we go. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna comment that. No start wheel. Then go over to game. Try to fix some of these typos. Odd. Also had quarter spelled QA instead of QU. So that was really insane. Okay, so yeah, no. Cannot be identified. So we have to have this here. And it's not complaining about having it defined twice, which I find interesting. Or maybe it will now. Nope. Nope. problem. Defined there and set up in the Alright, so we'll go and do the same thing with the other ones as well. Code blocks requires you to do it this way though. Even though it's incorrect semantically. You're not supposed to do defines within your classes. Defines of variables, that is. But CodeBlocks does not enforce that. In fact, it encourages it by making you do this to set up the element list within the class file, class definition, which is invalid code for C++, and I think most other languages. Take that off, and the one down here, get rid of that. Now we just need to take all that out. We'll leave the semicolons though. That's about all we need out of that. What this means for the Linux Mac versions, I don't know. I suppose there's probably a way to build them without having to use code blocks. I will continue researching that though. But for the time being, that's going to be scrapped or put on the back burner. The ability to go to Linux or Mac with the releases for now. Maybe the final version of the game, but not these interim versions, and not yet. In any case, I may try it for version 8, 0.8, maybe 9. But I'm going to make it a point of thing to try and get Linux and Mac supported, if at all possible. Actually, no. And we're missing a parenthesis or semicolon. Okay, so those. Everything else should be fine there. Now, over here, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with this. I can also use toString now, so that doesn't really help though for some of these though. Alright, so, okay. So this one is fine. The one that's got the problem, the first one that has the problem, is this down here, which is supposed to be a char. And it's still a string though. So what we have to do is we have to somehow couch this in a CSTR kind of situation. So we may need a let's see. Bad. So what I guess we'll have to do is we have to convert the string to a char array and then get the specific element. So that could take the place of this whole substring thing we have going for this one. Let's see. So character to char array. So we have to have a char array with a default number of things here. So CNUM members should be one specifically for section for roulette. So char temp, we should need more than 10. Really, we should need more than 6, but we'll use 10 just in case something goes wrong or whatnot. So we have the char temp char array. Then we have the char variable though, up here somewhere. Get these variables a little more actually all that should come down too, so that's kind of a dialogue on that particular variable there. Bets, all this stuff is non-specific, can be used by anything. Alright, so okay, so you just essentially traverse the string as an array. Really? So really all I have to do, yes, that's true. That doesn't matter because we're not converting the string to an array, we're just trying to get something out of it. We don't actually need this then, because we can just traverse that string as an array. So in this case we're looking for the color, which is at the start, 1-1, so we just need to get essentially the first character, in which case it'd be 0. See, no more problem. Because a string is really an array of characters already. In the way that the compiler can see it anyway. So we can just do that. That solves that issue. Now there's more serious issues, and that has to do with down here in the sections bet, because we're trying to take a string and compare it against a non-string. Now, the section is well, let's see. So scdart. So that's a string, and we need to use a2i, I think, to deal with that. So we'll need an int to hold that value. Now we can just do this up there when we grab that thing. We don't have to do it down here when we grab the information, the slot that's landed in. So okay, now we already have it. Screwv int, scrwv int. So actually, what this says is value should be int. Interesting. We'll do the find, replace in files, current file selection, find screw value, and we'll replace it with screwv int. That fixes that issue. scrwv int. Oh, I typed in screw. Oh, that's two. Or no, it's like that on all of them, isn't it? Damn. Put the E in and I shouldn't have. No, those ones are fine. It's just these first ones, I guess. Oh no, they're fine because that's being used to define it. Gotcha. Epic fail there. I'll do the same with quarter and half. It's all same thing, same issue. Okay, now we need to go up here and actually use that. And scrwv int equals a toy scrw value dot cstr. And we'll go ahead and get rid of the cstd lib up here. I believe we need it. Interesting. And that is because we have a missing comma in here, I think. Or parentheses. There should be 3. Okay, so this, then we have this. Where does this go to? Maybe this type of list won't actually work here. The thing is, it doesn't actually treat it as a bool, though. Which is what I find interesting. If it was going to treat it as a bool, it would be throwing up errors because it's not a bool, it's an int or whatever else it is. I don't really see any way to test that theory, though, because either way, one of these is going to equal this. And that's going to be, if it's not using these as the conditionals, it's using the last one. Let's see. Our comma separated. Let's just go simple. I see. Let's see. What's funny about that is that that's actually the inequality operator for, I forget what language. It might be Java, but I don't think it's Java. I think it might be Visual Basic. The two angle brackets. That's so funny. I guess my tests actually worked like they were supposed to, but not in the way that I thought they were actually working. So, and there's no real way to test this out if it works, because well, according to that, these aren't ands. It's well, let's see if we can do bitwise ands. I've only had problems ever using them, but maybe this is one of those times. Let's see. I've never done much with the singular ands or ors. Let's see. Huh. Let's see. Integral type. Let's see. One is flag. Some other interesting things here, though, like, for example, perhaps we could use, let's see, it seems to work, though. Again, the other ones seem to work, too. or if I2 and I3 minus I2 well, it seems to be working. See, that works too, and it shouldn't work. I2 and I3. So if essentially we're saying if all these equal 3, all these equal 1 rather, or if this and I3 minus I2 equals 1. So that shouldn't actually come out as works, so I don't think that's working either. Maybe double lands. Maybe that's all we'll have to do. Nope, that's still saying works. No, so that's not going to work either. Damn. We've got to figure out a way we can do this so that we don't have to have all that. We have to go back through and add all that stuff back in. Those huge lines that we have. Apparently this isn't actually going to work. Which sucks, but I guess this is how it goes. See if we can find something here. Let's see, basically LSF. Let's say LSF. That's not what I want to do. What I want to see is the an array. Well, let's see. Holy hell. Yeah, it's not going to work in this case. I think we'll just have to do things the hard way. Usually that's what it comes down to. And you know what? I actually like doing things the hard way. Ask anybody that's been on GRRO. So I pretty much require people do things the hard way. Like going out and farming like hundreds of bronze coins in order to get a silver coin, in order to get a gold coin, in order to buy things from the black market. And I was explaining this all out to Ghost. Ghost was like, you know what, Geo? You like to do things the hard way too much. Or something to that effect. Because he was considering what some of our players would think. Because a lot of the time when you get on private RO servers, the propensity for players is to expect things to be handed to them, or at least made very easy to get. And because when you play on an official server, one of the first things that you get annoyed at is having to grind for levels. So private servers, the first thing to do is jack up the rates so that you level up much faster. And a lot of people expect that to apply also to the custom stuff you put on the server. You should be able to get things really easily. That kind of takes the fun and adventure out of it, though. So it's not really the way that I do it on that. So we're going to have to fix all this, which sucks, but we're going to have to do it. What is this not like about this? Definition incompatible. Why the hell did... Oh, I guess, yeah, because it returns an int. Duh. Why did I say void? I don't know. Like I said, in sleep deprivation delusional sickness thing, whatever, that I had going on back a couple weeks ago. I was trying to do a little bit of work on this to make up for the fact that I had missed a whole weekend. Really shouldn't have been doing it. And then working on this while I was half asleep over the weekend as well caused a couple problems, but we'll get it sorted out here. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording right now, though, because what I want to do is I'll just fix all this right now, and then I'll start up recording again, and we'll start working on the audio portion. I wanted to get into that a little bit before we go on to other things. So I shall be back. Well, for you it'll be instantly, but it's going to be probably a good half an hour to an hour before I start working on the audio. So I will see you then. Alright, and we're back. I'm just going to go ahead and show you a couple of things that I did, and the reason it sounds a little different now is because you're on the left side of the screen instead of the right. I've got my keyboard up here. I'm going to show you what I did with the code. It's kind of a little smart, anyway. So I went back through and I changed all that stuff back to where it was supposed to be at, with the ands and all that. But when I got to the number thing down here, this is what kind of goaded. Actually, no, I didn't finish it. What the hell? Oh, I didn't do bell, but I didn't know. Okay, so I stopped at... Okay, so I stopped at heart. I skipped over bell, that's what happened. I actually skipped over the last part of that as well. Anyway, so I went through and I started changing it all back. I haven't finished it, evidently. Let me just go and do that right now real quick, so you can see the process of what I was doing. So we need to do the last one for heart. So we just take this bottom line here, copy it, and paste it down here, and just change 7 to heart. Essentially, that's the same process here now. But now we want to take that, actually take this, and use this for the rest of these. And what we just do now is we just take jackpot and we change it around as we need to. One thing I decided to leave the same was that all the ones that are similar are going to be on the left side, unless it's on the real one, which is then is at the very end. So we have, reels 1, 2, and 3. Then we have 1, 2, and 4, with reel 3 being the odd one out. And I decided to set it up that way, so it'd be easier, I think, to read instead of having them, shift all over the place. So in this case, bell is what we want to keep. I'm going to switch jackpot to bar. 7, then heart. And then we have to take the one from down here for the last one. And we change heart to bell. Now, as you remember, what really kind of goaded me into trying to figure out some other way to do this, and what led to that comma thing, was that in order to do that, in order to do this style of a thing with all the numbers, we'd have to have this, essentially this for every single number. So we'd have 4 times 15, and then we'd have to have the additional one to real. So actually it would be 3 times 15, then the real that was different times 5. So we'd have like, well, 3 and 15, that's going to be, so 30, 45 times 5, which is 25, carry the 2. It's you know, really high. It's like over 100. 20, it's like 245, I guess. Then with the additional 4, so like essentially 249 condition statements in just one section. one section of this. That's that then times another 5. Or something like that. Still, monstrous amounts of stuff, and just really would be too complicated. And then that's what led to that. And then we had I was trying the bitwise things. And I got an idea because I read that on Stack Overflow that you can use the bitwise operators as long as it's an int. And because what you can do is you say, okay, so if this and this and this are all the same, because essentially you're comparing what the value of those are to each other. So they're essentially pseudo bools, essentially, that actually use, but that use they're trying to pseudo bools that use the value as the Boolean value. So in other words, if this and this is true, and this is true, and by extension any other combination of the variables are true. In other words, they're all the